Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Stutz. And this is a new documentary from director Jonah Hill, and focuses on Jonah Hill and his psychiatrist, Phil Stutz, who is a leading person in his field in terms of psychology and psychiatrist who's been working over 40 years, including world-class creatives and business leaders. And this film is a very intimate discussion between these two men about mental illness, the treatment of mental illness, and very personally, Jonah Hill putting himself out there, talking about his own anxieties, which have been progressively getting worse when it comes to promoting his own films, and to the point where he's just not doing it anymore, and has turned his dream job of being an actor and performer and has turned it into something that he doesn't appreciate or can't love as much because of the anxiety that it's causing him. And one thing is for certain, this is just two people having conversation for the most part. There are little interludes throughout that kind of spice it up a little bit, but for the most part it's just two guys talking. And with that limitation, there could be moments where it doesn't feel as engaging or interesting. You might lose interest over the course of this hour and 36 minutes that this film is running. But it is fascinating to see somebody like Jonah Hill just leaving it all out there. And hearing from Phil Stutz talking about his approach to psychiatry and how he really is there to give advice and to lead people instead of a more traditional sense of how psychiatry is supposed to go. And here's the thing. I have a master's in accounting. I love film, but my education is in business and stuff like that. I have no psych background, so I'm not going to get into the details about whether his approach is good or not, or the right approach, but it is interesting to hear from him, this is his approach, why it's effective, and in many ways this film is trying to sell us on this perspective of mental health support, and getting cynical about it when you really do boil it down to this just being kind of like an ad for this thing. That does kind of knock it down a notch for me. But where it's so personal and emotional is when Jonah Hill talks specifically about his experiences and we travel on this journey with him, and there's moments of Stutz doing some of the things he does in his appointments, and we get to see them in action, and that's interesting. This documentary is exactly what you expect it to be based off of the description of, this is just a psychiatrist being interviewed by Jonah Hill about his own methods being used on Jonah Hill because of his own anxiety. It's engaging, it's like they incorporate a lot of black and white and stuff like that into it. It's visually appealing for the most part in terms of what they're able to do with such a limited setup. But I do appreciate Jonah Hill putting himself out there and leaving himself out there raw and emotional to experience the reactions to this particular film. And I think this is a worthwhile watch. You might learn a thing or two about your own mental health and making sure that you're taking care of yourself, and done in an interesting way. So show this one some love and, check it out on Netflix. But those are my thoughts on Stutz. Let me know what you think and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.